To dive deeper into this, let's speak to Joseph Williams. He's a former senior editor at U.S. News and World Report. It's great having you. And Donald Trump's administration has produced an outstanding number of executive orders in these first 100 days as well. Of the last 5 U.S. presidents, to put this into context, he more than triples the second in this ranking, which is Joe Biden. Which conclusions can we draw from this?
There are a couple of conclusions. The first and foremost is that Donald Trump is trying to wield executive power and expand it. Some might call it the imperial presidency. That was a phrase first coined under the Bush administration. So he's taking the presidential powers and expanding it, trying to get as much done as he can without Congress, without the courts getting in his way. But problem number two, or conclusion number two we can come from that, is that the Republican majority in Congress has completely abdicated its authority and is willing to let the president get away with as much as they can without getting in his way and risking his wrath and possibly a challenger in a Republican primary. So the Republican Party is completely and totally under the control of Donald Trump. The third conclusion we can draw from this is the fact that the courts are trying to compress and trying to restrict his power, because neither of the other two branches of government, or neither the other branches of government, isn't going to do it. So it's left to the courts to try to constrain and restrict his power. And even given that, the courts are not doing a full-throated job of it right away. The Supreme Court has basically given half measures here and there and is checking on the president's power as much as it feels like it's able to, but it really doesn't want to risk a constitutional confrontation and try to see what this looks like. So the three branches of government are not co-equal at this moment, and the Supreme Court, the judicial branch seems to be the only one that's capable or really fully engaged to standing up against the president.
Joseph, I want to add to these points what we also just saw, right, that his approval ratings are suffering. Do you believe the administration can turn this around?
I don't know that they feel like they need to. Given all that they've been doing full steam ahead, it seems like the only thing that they're responding to is the stock market. Consider all the president's policies, particularly immigration, how he's handling the economy, how he's handling foreign relations with our adversaries and with our allies. Nobody seems to be in favor of any of this, including a majority of Republicans don't really necessarily agree with what the president is doing, and yet he is maintaining the course. Now, one thing is true is that in both of his presidencies, he's never really cracked 50% for very long. Right now, he's still languishing around 45, 46%, which has been consistent over Trump's presidency. So he doesn't seem to be all that worried about public opinion. He seems to be more worried about what the courts are going to do. And even then, he feels like he's got a stronger hand to engage his agenda without the people being against him. Now, this may change given the fact that the midterms are coming up fairly quickly and the fact that we're seeing a lot of protests. But so far, he does not seem to be all that worried about what the public thinks about him.
Joseph, domestically, you were talking about it. The economy and immigration were pretty much the issues he was elected on, right? Well, many believe he has reached beyond legality on these fronts. Most expect this administration to deliver. How does that look at this point, noting that, as you just said, we're headed to midterm elections?
It looks really interesting. I mean, first and foremost, we're talking about immigration. That was the issue that he was elected most upon. The courts are fighting out whether or not what he's doing is legal, and that seems to be the linchpin that's holding everything else together. We've had reversals and then re-reversals of his firing of federal workers. We've had reversals and re-reversals of certain things that he's done with executive power, including shutting down investigations, including defunding agencies. So the courts are still not very speaking very definitively about whether or not what he's doing actually comports with the law. Now, based on what the midterms will do, we really don't know. We do know that Republicans in safe districts have been hearing an earful from their constituents. They're not really happy at all. And it looks like there could be trouble for Republicans in the midterm. Nobody knows. 2 years, a year and a half is a lifetime in politics and no time at all. So we'll only know when the votes get counted. But to that point, we still have a chaotic administration, very unpopular, but there doesn't seem to be very much of a break. And the question is whether or not the people will step up and put that brake on this president.
Joseph Williams, thank you for your time and insights.
Of course, thank you.